15, 2020 of the City of Coolidge, City of Coolidge Council. Call it to order. The first order of business, invocation by Pastor Rogelio Cordova with the Reach USA Church. Pastor, welcome. Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mayor. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, and we pray and we invoke, oh God, your blessing over this meeting, over this body, over this leadership in our community. We ask, Lord God, that you guide and you give wisdom and understanding and heart in every place that we meet with today. Lord, give our leadership wisdom to lead us and to improve, God, our community, to touch, God, our community in such a mighty way. Thank you for your blessing today. We thank you for being here, and we thank you for this privilege to be part of this blessing and this invocation. This prayer we pray in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Cordova. I'm going to ask the Honorable Boyd Tremaine Johnson to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. He's a veteran, and he happens to be standing right there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for your assistance. Norma, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Jimmy Walker.
Here.
Councilmember Tina Kaufman. Here. Councilmember Steve Hudson.
Here.
Mayor John Thompson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Jackie Henry.
Here.
Councilmember Ben Navarro.
Here.
And Councilmember Tatiana Murieta. Here. We have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you, Norma. Under presentations, the first presentation is a proclamation on Arbor Day, Tree City, USA. I'm going to read the proclamation. Office of the Mayor. Whereas trees are one of the primary quality of life factors that a city government can provide for its citizens, and whereas trees are a delight to everybody, those who grow them and those who simply look on and enjoy their beauty, and whereas our community trees must be perpetuated to provide the benefits of aesthetic, shade, energy, conservation, noise reduction, and community livability, and whereas our forefathers who settled into the desert had the foresight and courage to plant the trees we now enjoy, and whereas the climate and special beauty of the desert Southwest are valuable resources enjoyed by many and should be taken care for the sake of our children and our children's children, and whereas the City of Coolidge has been designated as a Tree City, USA by the National Arbor Foundation for our commitment to improving the urban forestry program in our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, John Thompson, Mayor of the City of Coolidge, do hereby proclaim Saturday, April 11th, 2020, as Arbor Day in the City of Coolidge, and encourage all citizens to participate in this celebration and realize its importance. Okay. Number 5, the monthly report and business spotlight recognitions by the Coolidge Chamber of Commerce. Good evening, Lynn.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor Jackie, and Henry, I apologize. It gives me great pleasure tonight to introduce, which most of you know, is Commander Judge Boyd Johnson of the American Legion, William Davis Hood Post 54.
Before I start speaking, and first, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for allowing me to be here, council members, and certainly the chamber. Before I start, I need to invite up here the Vice President, come on up here, of the auxiliary at the American Legion. And if I didn't invite her, I'd probably be in trouble after we left. Come on up, come on up.
I'm right here.
Welcome, Madam Vice President.
I'm glad I'm on this side of it instead of that side of the table.
Let me tell you, the American Legion, the William David Hood Post 54, has been a factor in this community since 1929 is when we first received our temporary charter, permanent charter in 1930. That means we've been here 90 years. We're organized only 10 years after the American Legion itself was created by an act of Congress. We are, as a veteran group, the only veteran group that is congressionally chartered. Our Constitution relies upon congressional action to change it. And I will tell you one thing that's happened very recently we're very happy about is in the past, to become a member of the American Legion, obviously you had to be a veteran, but you had to be a veteran who served during certain time periods. They have eliminated that handicap, that limitation. So anybody who served as little as 1 day on active duty in any of the military branches is welcome to come and become a member of the American Legion if you've served since December 7th, 1941. Not many still around who served before then, and that really was the cutoff. It's World War I, and then it skipped to Pearl Harbor, to December 7th. So we've been here. Our main purpose is obviously to help veterans, but we really have 4 pillars, 4 goals. One is obviously to help veterans. One is to instill Americanism in the community. One is to secure our national security. And the 4th one is to involve the community and the youth. We've done that over the years at the American Legion. We've run various programs. We used to have Boy Scouts. We don't. We've had a junior shooting program. I have a volunteer now who wants to reinstitute the junior shooting program, and that's through the NRA. Hopefully we can get that going in a year. We do have a very large facility. I don't know. Most of you probably know where it is, but it's at the corner of Main Street and Northern. We have a bar, but we also have a club room. We have a dining room, and we have a very large back hall that's used for community functions. We do rent it out for various things like quinceañeras and wedding parties, but we also have it available for the community in general. The only way we keep open, obviously, is running certain businesses, so I need to throw in. We have a restaurant that's open every Friday evening. It opens at 5:30. It's open till 8:30. There's a full menu. There's also an all-you-can-eat fish fry on it. We have breakfast on Sunday that's 8 o'clock or 8:30. No, 8 o'clock until noon with a full menu. Those things help keep us open. So do some of the other things we do during the year for fundraising. The auxiliary, obviously, is one of the hardest working units. They're the ones who actually do the work, and the old guys just sit around the bar and talk about it, right? Okay. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. I am very happy and proud to have been chosen by the Chamber to do this, and very happy to be a member of this community. Go ahead.
Okay.
You have to use the microphone.
Yeah, thanks. I wanted to add one thing. In the summer conference that we all went to, they changed the bylaws for the auxiliary. It used to say you have to be the spouse or the daughter or a female of a veteran. It now says, no, it doesn't say spouse. What's it say?
Spouse.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Anyway, they changed it so men can join it also. It is not the Women's Auxiliary. It is the American Legion Auxiliary. So if your wife is a veteran and she has joined the American Legion, the spouse can join the auxiliary. They've been kind of been in a place where they had nowhere to go because they're not a son, because we have Sons of American Legion. They're not an auxiliary because that was all women, and they couldn't join the Legion because they weren't a veteran. So that kind of resolves that. And he put in his plug for the dining room, and I'm going to put in my plug for the spaghetti dinners. It's the last Thursday of every month. We open the doors. After 50 years, we can do it. It's $8 a person. It's all you can eat there. And that's where we make most of our money. I mean, we don't charge anything extra for anything else we do, but we do fund a lot of the programs, including 7 Girls to Girls State. We pick up Florence for them. We pick up Eloy for them. So we're quite involved with the kids and that kind of stuff. So that's what we do. We don't just sit around.
And you also give scholarships too, correct?
Yes, but so they.
Yeah. I'm talking about the auxiliary.
And we do an Americanism essay where it is not monetarily awarded, but they do get awards. And it's in the 5th grade that they do that. Okay?
One last thing, not a commercial, I'm not selling anything, but if any of you know any veteran who needs help, not to join us, we're not going to force anybody to join, but needs help, needs a referral to something, needs information, please tell them to come on down and talk to us. We're happy to deal with it. Okay?
You don't open till 4.
And they do a great hoedown. You have a fundraiser for your hoedown. It's a great event. On to chamber reinvestments. We have Garrett Motors, Community Christian Church, Pinal County Sheriff's Office, Title Security Agency, Arizona State University, Galloway and Galloway, Arizona at Work. New members for November, Meta Gaming Cafe, El Dorado Insurance. There's a new owner for El Dorado now. Service Master, Pita Patio Grill, Hope International Ministries, and Desert Beach Recycling. Our walk-ins, we had 885. Phone calls are 313. Top states that visit us was South Dakota and Minnesota. Top foreign country was Canada. The Casa Grande Ruins is up about 14.38%. For the month of November, they had 5,911 visitors. Year-to-date is 63,180. So we're getting back up there. It's making a difference. I'll get it on the back side if I only have one piece of paper. We have our Shop Local program on January 4th at Brown's Cooler and Appliance. Our membership luncheon will be on the 15th. We have the Coolidge Library celebrating 50 years, also on the 15th, and several programs at the Casa Grande Ruins. The Antiquity of Irrigation in the Southwest and Traditional Sand Art. And February 6th, they're going to have the Silversmith, and we'll have breakfast with the mayor on the 6th. And February 7th, a Night of the Stars, the CAC annual banquet. Any questions?
I think I did see something on your calendar, Lynn. There were 3 days in a row at the ruins.
Yes, it's the 15th has 2 different events, and then on the 6th. But I do recommend if you go to CoolidgeChamber.org, there'll be more details.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. We'll move into call of the public. That's a portion where if you want to address the council, you have 3 minutes to come up and address us. Please step up to the podium, state your name and your address, and Norma will hit the clock and we'll get rolling. You don't have any? No? Seeing nobody step forward, we'll move out of call to the public. And we'll move into item number 6, approval of minutes, discussion and action for the City Council regular meeting of December 9th, 2019. Are there any corrections or anything about those minutes we need to take a look at? If not, I would need a motion.
Motion to approve?
Yes, sir.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You're approved. Thank you. All right. We'll move into business items for consent. Does anybody want any of these items pulled off before I start my marathon reading?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull items number 13 and number 14.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Okay, here we go. Item 7. Consider approval of the request made from the Coolidge Chamber of Commerce for this year's Cotton Day festivities being held March 6th through the 8th, 2020, to include use of the San Carlos Park and at 320 West Central Avenue, city staff assistance, at least 2 officers on Friday, March 6th from 7:30 to 9 p.m. for teen night, permission to have a beer garden on Saturday, March 7th from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., and all street closures outlined in the attached map for the parade and 5K routes on Saturday, March 7th, and closure of 4th Street between Pinkley and Central Avenue from March 4th through March 8th to accommodate the carnival, and closure of Central Avenue between 3rd and 4th Street on Saturday, March 7th and Sunday, March 8th from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. for all Cotton Days activities. Item 8. Consider approval of a special event liquor license application submitted by Ms. Lynn Parsons for the Coolidge Chamber of Commerce to hold a beer garden at their annual Cotton Days Festival being held on Saturday, March 7th, 2020. Item 9. Consider approval of declaring certain non-used items of city-owned equipment and property as surplus and authorizing staff to proceed with removal from city inventory of the same. Item 10, consider approval of reappointing member Jesse Cañas to serve on the Public Safety Retirement Board for a 4-year term retro back from March 18th through March 2022. Item 11, consider approval to unfreeze capital and ratify the purchase of Microsoft licensing through Tyler Technologies in the amount of $19,564.93, of which Tyler Technology will apply a $10,000 credit towards the invoice. In addition, Tyler Technologies reduced the CAD fire module upgrade a total of $11,745, leaving those funds available to pay for the remaining balance of $9,564.93. Item 12, consider approval of entering into a sub-recipient agreement number 1803-12-01 between the Arizona Department of Homeland Security and the City of Coolidge Police Department for 2018 Homeland Security Grant funding in the amount of $16,128 for 3 Motorola APX 8000 portable radios and approve the expenditure of said funds. And item 15, consider approval of the claims for the month of November 2019. Do I have a motion?
Mayor, if there's no further discussion, I make a motion we approve consent agenda items 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 15 as read.
Second.
All right, there's no resolutions in there, so there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We'll move on to item 13, resolution number 20-01. A resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Coolidge, Arizona, approving the partial release of Martin Valley pre-annexation and development agreement as to a portion of the property subject to the agreement and authorizing the execution and recording of the partial release as to such portion of the property. Who's
Do you have a question
Councilmember
about?
Navarro?
Yeah, I read this, and quite honestly, I didn't 100% understand what was going on here. So for the partial release, I didn't know if you would be the man to answer the question, if Mr. Lopez would be the man to answer the question, or, Mr. Fitzgibbons.
You never know.
Oh,
You never
man.
Well, I think, Councilmember Navarro, typically the way these development agreements work is once they get to an actual homeowner, then the homeowner's released, because it gets to an individual homeowner, is released from the actual development agreement itself. And so there's automatic provisions in most of these development agreements or prior development agreements that we did, so that once usually the developer comes in, negotiates it, sells it to the home builder, and then it gets released. Here is a little bit different simply because we have, I think, 321 finished lots inside this part of the subdivision, and because this development agreement takes on a whole nother 600 acres, I think, so it takes on a significant amount more property. They just wanted to make sure if they bought these lots, they weren't going to be responsible for everything that's left to do in the development agreement. Okay. So we still have, I think it's 776 lots that will be finished.
Yeah, Martin Valley is much larger than what you see out there.
Yes.
The overall planned area development that was approved by the mayor and council. The lots and the homes that you see out there today, the finished lots are part of a recorded subdivision plat. As part of that recorded subdivision plat, we require financial assurances. We did that, but then I think the council changed the financial assurance to a deed of trust. We recently released a deed of trust, but now this home builder would also like to be released from the obligations of the development agreement, because this part of the development has already been completed. All the improvements are there. They don't want to be responsible for the extension of Curry Road into some area that hadn't been platted yet. That will come later whenever we work with the developer to build those improvements and do a final plat on that property. So we'll still have financial assurances in place when we come in and do a final plat for the remainder of Martin Valley, but no one's expressed an interest in developing the remainder yet that I know of.
And so just not to make it a little longer, but this is a little different just because this subdivision got built right before the downfall. So for a while, these people had bonds in place, and then council agreed, because the reduction in sales, nothing was happening forever, the bonds are expensive, council agreed to allow us to take a financial assurance, which was a deed of trust. So to this day, now these 231 lots have been released from that deed of trust so that they could go ahead and sell them. And then we still have the whole remaining part of the property that MV Coolidge LLC owns, still subject to that deed of trust. And so that's where the city holds its financial assurances. But it's just like what Rick said, once they come in to do a final plat and everything, we're going to get our assurances there. So we still have our ways to make sure they pay for what they need to pay under the development agreement.
Okay. That answers my question. Thank you.
Well, on this one, I think, Mr. Miller, we went out and looked at that not that long ago, didn't we? I think a lot of the lots are ready to go on this, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. In fact, we have a home builder that's anxious to start building on the remainder of the lots that have been improved out there. And pretty excited to see some of these subdivisions fill up with homes rather than have them fill up with weeds.
Have our crews been out there? Are they going to have to redo the sidewalks and some of the things that letter that we got from the resident?
Yeah, there's a few areas out there that have been that have been brought to our attention where sidewalks are buckling. We believe some of that's resulting from tree roots in the common areas. We'll be having some conversations with the homeowners association out there to maybe rectify some of those problems. And then, the best thing that can happen out there is we start putting cars on streets, because streets tend to, as you know, without some use, they tend to deteriorate faster. So, we'll be looking at, it'd be nice to see some houses built, that's for sure.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? You guys
There should be more attractive homes now that Derry's closed down.
Yeah.
Cows moved out. Okay. Anything down here? Anything down?
Those are really fake cows. They just did that for the ambiance.
Came with the smells.
Yeah.
They did a good job.
Okay. Well, if nobody has any other questions, I need a motion to act.
Motion.
Go ahead.
Mayor, if there's no further discussion, I make a motion we approve item number 13 as read.
I second it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Norma?
Councilmember Hudson,
Yes.
Councilmember Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilmember Walker,
Yes.
Councilmember Murrieta,
Yes.
Councilmember Navarro,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Henry,
Yes.
and Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 14, resolution number 20-02, a resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Coolidge, Pinal County, Arizona, designating the finance director of the city to declare official intent on behalf of the city with respect to reimbursement from proceeds of the tax exempt obligations pursuant to Treasury Regulations Section 1.150-2. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so my question with this was, as I'm reading this, I'm seeing that you as the finance director can cut a check for basically preemptive planning, things like that. There was an unwritten amount of how much you could spend before we started kicking out the bonds and everything like that. I was just kind of wanted a rundown on it. It's basically what I was looking for.
Well, Councilmember Navarro, Mayor, members of the council, basically this would, in essence, give us the authority to go ahead and start expending funds related to the issuance of the GO bonds before we do that. This basically sets the timetable and says, going forward, after we pass this, we're intending to go ahead and sell those bonds. So this would, the expenditures that we would have probably before that wouldn't relate to any construction per se. It would most likely just be any engineering or design costs that we could incur, or legal costs as we go along. So we wouldn't actually issue any, any really large purchases until we sold the bonds.
Okay. Is there a maximum set, or is it just kind of play it by ear type thing, or what?
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, we don't want to expend too much before we get to the construction, because we want the meat of this, the money to go towards the construction. So this would just be, to be honest with you, I think the only things we would charge would probably be the expenses we incur to get an engineering firm to come in and help us get ready to go out for a construction, architecture and construction.
Okay.
So what's happening now? Since we have you two guys here, let's.
Right now, this is basically the first step before we do anything. We want to go ahead and get this in order. Mr. LaPaya and Mr. Miller and I have been talking about potential timetables. So what we do is go ahead and get this approved, start moving forward with putting together a request for qualifications to bring in an engineering firm to help us issue the RFQ for construction. And so we would, at that point, once we get that, we'll have a better idea of like a design concept and things like that. And then we put it out so that way we can receive bids and get started. We still have to, there's still things we have to do. We have to get an IGA with the school district. We got to bring them in the loop, get in, measure with their timetable, see when the best times are for us to start this and things like that. So there's a lot of meetings that we have to go forward. This is just getting the foundation laid before we start.
So now the engineering firm, will that go out for bid?
Yes. Well, we could go out to bid, or we could use state contract. Most likely we'll go out to bid just because it is a GO bond.
And the IGA, does that come from Mr. Fitzgibbon's office?
It'll be I think it'll be a collaboration of Mr. Sakis and Mr. Fitzgibbons,
Those guys will.
as well as whatever attorneys the school district has as well. So.
Okay.
Oftentimes, Mr. Mayor, for engineering services, we do RFPs, requests for RFQs, requests for qualifications. We don't ask for a price. It's requests for qualifications. We interview a series of firms but generally we don't do engineering, go out to bid and ask for a price. We look for qualifications.
Okay, so
Mr. Sakis wants to
realistically,
clarify.
go ahead.
Just wanted to clarify, Zach Sakis, Sherman Howard Bond Counsel of the city. So remember, if the city decides to sell the bonds, the city cannot do so without mayor and council considering a resolution in the future. The investors in the bonds, when they're paid interest, will not have to pay federal income taxes on that bond interest income. That is a subsidy from the federal government. And so the federal government is careful about when that subsidy can apply. So tonight's resolution doesn't permit Gabe to actually start spending money, right? That's still a city decision. What we're authorizing him to do is designate certain expenditures with the intent to potentially reimburse them from bond proceeds in the future. If we don't designate them, the IRS has a limited, or the Treasury has a limited time frame. So if you're spending money and don't designate them as related to the project, then those just come out of operating funds of the city, and you can't get reimbursed from the eventual sale of the bonds. So what we're doing tonight is protecting the city to make sure that the city can be reimbursed the maximum amount from bond proceeds and not be on the hook for expenditures leading up to the bond sale, such as architecture, engineering. So again, just wanted to clarify, we weren't, you mentioned a blank check. Bond attorneys, we dislike blank checks 100%. So just wanted to jump in there and clarify what we're authorizing the city finance director to do is if money is spent related to architecture, engineering, maybe even some construction leading up with otherwise city approval, he can then go back and designate it and track those expenses for IRS purposes. So when we sell bonds and we file reports with the IRS, we say, here's what we did, ding, 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 and it was approved and designated by the city finance director.
Thanks, Zach. That's exactly why you're here. That's what we like to hear. We don't want him running around writing a bunch of blank checks.
Well, they all require one of your signatures, so.
All righty. So what do we look, I mean, it's going to be a while before anything starts to roll along.
Yeah.
And we haven't, how are we going to, I don't know, how are we going to proceed with the school? Are you going to meet, are you guys going to meet with them?
We already have an IGA with them before that we have to be updated. You guys remember one of the first times I think Zach ever presented this item to the council, he talked about making sure that the IGA covered the length of the bond. And so that's what we want to make sure we get that. So we'll work with the school and everything to get that in place.
Okay, because they have a new school board president. I talked to him the other night once he got elected, so looking forward to working with him. Thank you.
Yep.
So I guess now, anything down here? No. Down here? No? Then I guess we'll need a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution number 20-02 as read.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second, Norma.
Vice Mayor Henry,
Yes.
Councilmember Navarro,
Yes.
Councilmember Murrieta,
Yes.
Councilmember Walker,
Yes.
Councilmember Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson,
Yes.
and Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move into business under regular items. Item 16. Consider approval of entering into an agreement between the City of Coolidge and Holbrook Asphalt, LLC, through the City of Mesa Cooperative Purchasing Agreement to purchase high-density mineral bond asphalt HA5 seal coat for the street work program at a cost not to exceed $115,000 per year plus applicable tax, and authorizing the mayor to execute the necessary documents. Good evening, Matt.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the council. This was brought to you in November 25th, and you approved it in November. But when we sent the contract over to Holbrook Asphalt, it was noticed that the existing Mesa contract on which we're using the cooperative purchasing agreement says that it sets the increment as a time frame per year, as an expense per year. When I brought it before in November, we had just a lump sum payment for a single year distribution. However, the city attorneys had recommended us to bring it back to you, modifying the contract to have it read as an annual installment, as is listed in the City of Mesa contract. And that's the only change for this.
Nothing else changed. And,
No, sir.
And this is the asphalt that's going over there where we redid all the curbs?
Yes, sir, that's correct. We have our...
Handicap accessible?
Yes, we'll be starting the project next month where we did all of the handicap ramps. We're going to be, we refer to as a zip and double chip. We'll zip up the existing pavement. We'll put down 2 layers of chip seal, and then this is the fog seal that goes on top of this. This product we've been very, very pleased with in the past. We've used it over the last 6 years throughout the city, and it's markedly a better product that really does a lot to protect the roads. What we're looking at, you can get an example of it on Roosevelt between Main Street and First Street. That was done 6 years ago with the same process that we're proposing for this round of street improvement projects.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions down here? Nope. Down here?
No.
If there's no questions, then I'll need a motion to act.
Mayor, if there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion we approve item number 16 as read.
Second it.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Item 17. Consider approval of entering into an agreement with Pinal Excavating LLC for purchase and installation of 2 dry wells in conjunction with the FY 2019-2020 roadway improvement project in the amount not to exceed $27,120 and waiving the sealed bid requirements in the best interest of the city. Matt?
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the council. This is in the same general area that we have. As I'm sure all of you are aware, when it rains, the last few areas that we have that have problems with flooding are Kennedy and Beeley, just because of the logistics of trying to get that water over across the boulevard. When we did the previous road improvement projects along 4th Street, along the cul-de-sacs east of the track in the California retention basin, Pinal Excavating was the company that came in and installed those dry wells for us. We reached out to them. They offered us a quote. However, our procurement code says that if it's above $25,000, we have to go out for bid unless there's a cooperative purchasing agreement. We reached out to Pinal Excavating Company and asked if they had an existing contract. They did have. It was through Mesa Public Schools. However, that did not include cooperative purchasing language. So at that point, we reached out to 2 other vendors to provide quotes for us, bids for the services. The bids came in relatively close. Even though Pinal Excavating was not necessarily the low bidder, we recommend that council approve them for the purchase because of their experience that they have here in the city of Coolidge with the dry wells that they've already installed have been working very, very well. And they're also, they have a local preference. They have and they're based here within the city limits. They are a local vendor, so that allows them for a 5% incentive or advantage in the bidding process.
Thank you, Matt. So this is the end of it. We won't, I think we've discussed it. We won't need one up by the old Little League Park.
No, sir.
I think originally there was one planned to be there, but not anymore, huh?
There was, and we moved that down to place the dry wells where all of the stormwater is collecting downstream. So we figured we get it as close to the low point in the drainage reach that we could, and we're just offset from the concrete ford that goes across. It's a matter of a few tenths as far as the difference in elevation, so we will be well served, and once we get these retention dry wells in, that's the end of our road flooding.
Should save you some money in overtime, shouldn't it?
Yes, sir, it should.
It'll probably never rain again once we put the dry wells in.
But if it does, we'll be ready for it.
At least we got them. No, they're working pretty good up there on the other side of the tracks.
They are. They're working very, very well.
That was a good deal up there. Okay. Anybody have any questions down here? Jimmy, you guys? No?
No, sir.
No? All right. If there's nothing, no questions, I need a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve item 17 as read.
Second.
Choose your second, Norma. Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The ayes have it. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll move into the report from the mayor, council, and our city manager. We'll start with Councilmember Walker and move our way back.
I have nothing, Mayor.
Okay, Jim?
I don't have much to report other than hope everybody had great holiday seasons, are recovered and ready to go get them this year. Hopefully we've got a lot of great things looking at us to get accomplished this year, and we have the energy and the strength to get through it. Special shout out to our PD for the great job they're doing. Keep it up. Love ya.
Okay.
Nothing. I attended the Arizona water ribbon cutting. When was that?
What date were we out there? Gilbert, when were we out there? Last
Wednesday. And then today, I attended the Pinal County Town Hall meeting telephonically. That's it.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, just a couple things to bring to your attention. We've got a monthly chamber luncheon. Our offices will be closed Monday for Civil Rights Day, and there'll be no fly-in in February. We're still working on the airport project out there. We anticipated that January and February we would not have fly-ins. At least that's the latest report I got. But things are going very well out there. They should be completed with that whole project, hopefully in May sometime, extended, but it's a major project if you go out there and look at all the work that's being done. Some really good, I also attended the water recharge basin ribbon cutting that the Arizona Water Company put on. Wonderful to see water coming out of the CAP canal to the tune of 10,884 acre-feet per year and being recharged here in our bathtub. We have a pretty good water supply here, and that just enhances that water supply even more for the area and for the region. I don't have anything else. Oh, I would like to say that we're really happy about the Shorties being purchased. Very excited to be working with the new owner about trying to not only work on their building and their business, but we really are hoping to see a lot more activity in the downtown area. And as you know, we've all been very supportive of working with these businesses and trying to get the downtown rejuvenated and revitalized. I think Jackie sent me something just yesterday about a program that I'm going to be filling out an application on. Maybe we get some other expert help in helping us to go and improve our downtown even more than it is today. And the water tower. I think we've had a lot of positive comments about the water tower, the lighting, and I haven't really seen anything negative there. Pretty exciting to see that project. That's it.
It's totally, excuse me, but it's totally amazing how many comments I have gotten for people that have actually donated money, private citizens, and then the citizens themselves. I mean, it's just unbelievable what that has done. It makes them proud of Coolidge. It really does. And you wouldn't think something like that would do it, but it's unbelievable the comments that I've received. It's a great job. Great job by Arizona Water Company and the employees of Coolidge.
And the donors. And we will be bringing a policy to the mayor and council on lighting. We're not really taking requests. We've been playing around with the lighting to kind of show off what it can do, playing around with it through the holidays. But the last few nights you've seen it's just been white.
Very pretty.
We'll have a policy. Some citizens want it to be colorful, every night, but we'll have a policy to let the council decide just how you want to handle the lighting in the future for special events, or if you want to, play with colors or whatever you want to do. But it's been pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think we're going to need a policy pretty quick. That was the first thing when we met with Gilbert, this town of Gilbert. The first thing they told us was you better get a policy because there's a lot of requests and there's only so many days in a year and there's a lot more citizens than there are days. So then you're going to have a lot of conflict and a lot of problems. One of the things that I was going to say, yes, I attended the water with Arizona Water Company and that CP with the vice mayor and a number of others. Gilbert was there and a lot of people. I see Gussie. Gussie? The MLK March, is that going to be this Monday? I haven't heard from the pastor, so Monday at 10 o'clock? Okay. San Carlos Park. Okay. I just wanted everybody to, usually we announce it here, the meeting before, so. What is that, the 21st or something? 20th? January 20th, MLK Day March. Okay. I hadn't heard from him, so. All right, so it is going to be, there will be an MLK Day March in Coolidge, meeting at 10 a.m., meeting at San Carlos Park, starting there at 10 a.m. Oh, okay. Oh, I know Councilmember Navarro will be there then, so. Good, good. You got his vote. But everything seems to be going well. We will be working on a number of things this year. I'm not going to go into it. Well, I'll be looking for a date to have a retreat with the council so we can discuss some items we need to discuss. But welcome to Coolidge. I hope your sign doesn't compete with our water tower. We didn't want it up that high, but it's good to, I'm glad it's here. I can't tell you what, we're just glad that this Fitzgibbons is here. If his brother was here, he'd already be on his way to Shorty's.
No, he got 86, remember?
Oh, that's
I was
right.
going to ask you if you get him back in.
We're going to have to see if we can get him back into Shorty's. He got asked to leave one time, so. But it wasn't his fault. Anyway.
It was his brother's.
Oh, my God.
Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everybody, for